Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Leadership from the Heart. My name is Renee Funk, and I'm super happy to see my dear friend and co-host, Miss Elizabeth Riley. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, sweet friend. How are you in Florida these days?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I gotta say, I'm super looking forward to this conversation today. No phone. We're here. We're live. We're live on LinkedIn. We're live on Facebook, and we have an amazing guest today. So Aaron Kirman is the CEO of Aaron Kirman Group, serving the Los Angeles market in a big way. He and his team have sold over $6 billion with a B, that's right. Yeah. In luxury real estate in the Los Angeles market, one of the number one teams in our entire country. And many of you probably know Aaron as the CNBC star of Listing Impossible. Aaron's here today. He's going to tell it like it is. And we're super excited. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, ladies. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing super good. How about you guys?
We are so excited to have you. This is going to be a fun conversation. We can't wait to dive in with you.
It's going to be super fun. Renee we had the opportunity to interview on Inman, and that was an awesome experience. And now I get you, Elizabeth, so it's perfect.
I love it.
All right, we're diving right in. Aaron, what drew you to consider a career in real estate?
Yeah, funny. I was super lucky because I knew what I wanted to do when I was 5 years old. My mom had a friend who was a real estate agent, and I remember I would literally steal. At the time, they had the keys, for lock boxes. And when I was like 7, I would literally steal the guy's key, no joke, and go into empty houses. And I would go to expensive houses because we lived in a relatively modest area, but not that far away were some really big houses. So I would ride my bike to the big ones, and I would literally break in at 7, 8 years old and just pretend to be a real estate agent. So it was just something I kind of always knew. And in fact, I made my parents go look at houses when they couldn't even afford to buy a house. And we would go look at houses I remember driving in these fancy cars with my parents having no intention to buy. And we wasted real estate agents' time. I feel so bad for the people. I still know the people we wasted their time with because some of them are still in business. But yeah.
Well, it's being that you're mentioning that, first thing that comes to mind is, so who were some of your early mentors when you were having that admiration for the industry at such a young age?
At the time, they were just the people that were selling in my in the neighborhood that I lived. I remember, the Renee. I never really had a mentor as far as an agent, but I remember companies like Mike Gleekman were really big. John Douglas were really big. I remember in Beverly Hills there was a company called Highland Alvarez and Young, which is now Hilton and Highland. And so I remember all those big ones. I remember my grandpa lived in Beverly Hills, and I remember those signs, and I remember always knowing that it was something that I wanted to do. But a lot of people aren't as blessed as me when it comes to that. That was a very, very, very lucky thing. And I remember actually when I was 17 years old and I got into the business, everyone said, why would you go into real estate? It's like my grandma's business. Because at the time it was a very different business. And it was just something I knew I loved.
So you've always been in real estate. Have you ever had any other job outside of real estate?
I couldn't hold a job for the life of me. I got fired from every job I ever had. So I'm highly dyslexic. I can't read. I can now, but back in that day, I really couldn't read. I had problems writing. And so every job I had, from being a waiter to being a host to even being an assistant in real estate, I got fired from. I could not hold a job. And it wasn't until I got my license at right around 18 that all of a sudden all of my problematic areas sort of went away, and all of a sudden I was super on it. But before that, literally holding a job was almost impossible.
Okay, I love hearing that story. I have a son that's severely dyslexic as well. And I always tell him, I'm like, you've got a superpower. Whenever you figure out what your passion is and whatever you're going to want to go forward to, you're going to do incredibly well at. And you're that story right there. I love that.
I think I got really lucky because I knew that I could hold a job, and I knew I was going to get fired, and I knew I could have a boss. And so at 18, there's very limited things you can do. Real estate was just one of those things that you can be your own boss. You could be master of your own. You're driving the boat. You're making your own production movie, and So the minute that happened, I all of a sudden accelerated, and all of the problematic areas that were very difficult in my life became assets, because I had to work so hard to learn how to do those things that actually what it really helped me to do was learn how to listen and learn how to understand people. And I was always a little bit of an outsider. And so that all actually helped accelerate my sales abilities.
Well, Eric Page just asked a question of you, Aaron, and it's really diving a little bit deeper into what advice would you give your younger self now?
You know, I think the key to success is being joyous. And I had always fought so hard to get to where I was when I was younger. And today I go, wow, I need to pinch myself every day and look at where I am, what I've done, and where I'm going. And I wish I did that a little bit more when I was younger, because I was so obsessed with the end destination rather than just enjoying the ride. And I think the ride is what gets us to where we are today as humans, right? And I think when I was younger, I was so driven for success and trying and working and working. And it wasn't that I wasn't joyous, but I just wish I was a little bit more cognizant of being aware, because we're really lucky to do what we do and live where we live and be who we are. And I just would have loved to have acknowledged that a little bit more in my younger days.
You were charting your own path because you had obstacles most people didn't have, right? And so you were fighting that battle in your own way. And now looking back, hindsight's 2020, but it's awesome because you have such a great story that so many people can relate to, and they may not know that about you, right? Because the perception is a huge thing. They see you're on TV, they see how successful, and they think, oh, well, it was just always easy for this guy, not knowing the backstory and where you had to come from to get there.
And the thing is, and this is what I realized, is like, you know, when you're building and when you're looking at everybody, right? And you're like, you always think somebody's better than you. You're like, oh, that person sells 500 million, or that person just sold a X house, and you're comparing yourself. And the thing that you realize is we're all in this together at any level. The business is a business. We're dealing with the same stuff. And at the end of the day, if you're cautious and you care about your clients, and we care about where we're going, and we care about making sure we're giving back to our people, then no matter where you are in your business, you can grow it. And we're all the same. And I just think people need to not compare where they are versus where they want to be versus where somebody else is. It's our own race. So all we can do is look at ourselves and go, God, I did good today. Because that's what makes us feel good. And the more good we do and the more we give back, the more we're going to get back. And I just remember looking at the people at the top of my game when I was younger, and I always said, God, they're so much better than me. And I would go into meetings. You have, people could smell sales. They know, when you know you're good, when you know that you're giving 100%, when you know your team is the best, when you know you're organized, when you know you're structured, you're going to come in and somebody's going to want you. And that's going to double down and triple down and triple down. And you don't have to be in the business, like I've been in business 25 years. You don't have to be in that long. Just work really hard and really smart and care. Because at the end of the day, it's a service. It's giving to people. And if we give to people, you're going to get it back. And that will translate to sales, money, happiness, and everything else.
You talked about 50-50 a lot, right? 50%. What do you say? I mean, I don't want to take your words. I know what your words are, but you talk about the 50-50 equation a lot.
Yeah. Are you talking about this life in general?
You're just talking about in business. 50% is showing up.
Listen, you got it. Listen, I believe 80% of it is showing up.
Yeah.
80% is showing up with the right energy. So if I have a bad day or I'm off, I shut my day down. It drives my assistants crazy, but I know that if I make a call and my energy's off, I'm not going to make a sale. I'm not going to get a listing. Buyers aren't going to like me. Sellers aren't going to like me. I literally shut it down. So you kind of have to know your energy, and you have to figure out how to get your energy on track. Because the 80, it really is all about the energy. Like if I go in on a happy day, I could make miracles happen. And if I go in on a day where I have a headache, or I don't feel well, I'm tired, it's not going to happen. And so it's knowing yourself. If you can fix that bad day, do it. Like some days I go home for 5 minutes and jump in my pool. take a cold shower and start again. And hopefully that starts my energy again. And if it doesn't, some days I shut down. And that's okay too, because I believe that you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of others. And so if you're not self-monitoring and self-care, you're in trouble. Like, it's just not going to be a good day. And if your life isn't where you want it to be, your business isn't going to be where you want it to be. And it's not going to go, because it all goes full circle. So for me, you have to make sure you're taking care of all of it at the same time in order to be really successful.
The self-awareness lesson that you just shared with the audience is critical. I don't think I've quite heard it explained like that. And you're touching on something that's important, regardless of whether you're an individual agent or a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever it is, even just from a parental standpoint, is sometimes if you're having a rough day, it might be smart to shut it down. Shut it down.
Life self-care is more important than business self-care.
Yeah.
So if your business isn't where you want it to be, or you're struggling, or you're not doing well, I say stop. Look at your life. How are you doing personally? How are your friendships? How's your family? How's your husband, wife, significant other? Figure all of that out. How are you on top? Are you paying your bills? Are you not paying your bills? Is your house clean? The stupidest, are you making your bed in the morning? Is your sink clean? Start with that. And when you have all of that simple stuff, not life, by the way, husband, wife, that's complicated, but when you have all of it down, and at least you're running smooth, that's when you start to attack your business. And you go, okay, now where am I in my business? Am I organized? Am I structured? Do I have the right approach? Am I CEO? I call it, we're producers of our own movie, right? We're producing our own movie. Are we producing a good movie, or are we producing a bad movie? Is our organizational structure of that production good or bad? And if it's bad, you're not going to be successful. And if it's good, you will.
Well, you talked a few moments ago about giving back, and we all know that giving back and being strong pillars and mayors in our communities are so important. You and your team recently gave back in a really big way. Can you share with us what you all had contributed in your communities?
We give back every day, every day. So I wasn't always this way. When I was young and poor and just starting, I took what I can get, I grabbed what I can grab, and I look back and I probably did some things that I wish I didn't do. It's really easy when you have money and when you're successful to go, this is how you should be. But when you don't have that, it's really, you're different because you're living hand to mouth, and a lot of people take what they can get. But the lesson that I learned was the more I gave back, the more I got.
Yeah.
And so every day we're giving back. We're giving to charity. We're doing adoptions for pets. The Black Lives Matter movement. All of these things are really important. We have to listen. We have to hear. We have to understand other people. And I can never understand because I'm not African American. I don't know what they've been through.
Right.
But we have to listen, and we have to learn, and we have to contribute so that we can elevate everybody. And the more that we elevate, the better we will all be, which is one of the reasons why I started a team. Because I realized this business can be lonely. If you're just selling houses all day by yourself, that's a lonely business. And I realized that I would rather be a dolphin than a shark, right? Dolphins swim together, they play together, they're having fun in the ocean, and sharks generally live by themselves. Who do I want to be? Well, I decided that I want to be a community of people that make a ton of money, have a lot of fun, and rise each other, because alone, we're alone. Together, we're more powerful. And if you look at the way the business works today, teams and groups, and we need each other. It's it's the weirdest business in the world because we're competitors, right? We compete against the marketplace, but then the minute you have a buyer, the minute you have a seller, and the minute it's a match, what are you? Partners.
Yeah.
So if you don't treat every single person like a partner, it's going to backfire on you, because there's going to be a time there's going to be a multiple offer. You have a buyer, somebody has a listing, and all of a sudden they're going to be like, nope, I don't like that guy. I'm not going to work with him. And
you're so spot on. We talk with our team about that all the time, is the roles and the relationships we have with our fellow agent and our colleagues. there is a partnership. It's such a weird juxtaposition between being a competitor, but like you said, the minute that you're entering into conversation, even for serving your customers, now we're partners. We're going to work together to get this done.
100%. I mean, listen, I work in one of the most competitive marketplaces in the world. I really think LA and New York are probably the two most competitive marketplaces. But the business in general is the most competitive business in the world. And I studied and I said to myself, wow, these people are enemies. And all of a sudden you'd see an $80 million sale and you're like, enemies just became partners. How did that happen? And then all of a sudden you see that partnership grow, even if they're different companies, and all of a sudden they do another house. And you just realize how important it is. And it's funny because I had a competitor, big competitor actually, and we're friends. And one day I got really mad at them for something. And I said, forget it. I'm going to go compete head to head against them. And I had a listing, they wrote an offer, and I was totally, I honestly was nasty to them. I just barely returned their phone call. And I saw her out to dinner, and she said, we talked for a minute, and she goes, why don't we do this? And it was her idea, not mine. Write a list of all the good things we've done together, because we've known each other and worked in the same marketplace for 20 years. Let's write all the good things that happened together and all the bad things that happened. And so we were on the phone for 3 hours during the week, which was insane. And what we realized was we sold something like $700 million together in inventory, and it really balanced out, and now we're friends again. So,
because you were honoring and recognizing the partnership, which was rising up higher than any potential rift or competition that you might had, right?
And the funny thing is now, like, I have probably $100 million buyer, 80 to 100. And we're working together on deal. Like, it just goes to show you the importance of that partnership. So if you're in any market, anywhere in the world, view your competition as partners, and never think that somebody, you never know. I always say, never bet against anybody. Because the luck and the energy and the triumph and the hard work will always pay off for somebody. So somebody could have a bad year. I'm like, watch, that person's going to be big next year. Watch. Always watch your competition too, and make sure you're on track too, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure everyone likes you, but the world is evolving, and if you're not evolving with it, you're behind. And so I always say we don't have to recreate the wheel, just make the wheel better.
We talk about that in our market as well, because people are watching. Even if you haven't done a deal with somebody, or even if you haven't ever partnered with somebody before, they're always watching for that time when it comes up, right?
Yeah.
Clients are going to come and go, right? I mean, my business is all referral. Clients are going to come and go, but at the end of the day, we're going to have each other, regardless of company, regardless of market, regardless of what our differences are. If we work together, those people that recognize, wait a minute, I haven't worked with this person, but I know their reputation. I've been watching them. I know they're a great person to work with. And then you have a better story to go with to your client. Like, I know this is going to be a great transaction. My goal is to make this seamless from start to finish. This agent is going to help us do that. It makes your story a lot more compelling, as opposed to bringing on or having to deal with somebody that's going to make it challenging for your clients. And it's just going to make it so much harder for everybody involved. So the relationship, like you're saying, the partnership, the relationship is key, because that's going to be what's withstanding for the long term. Even if it's a client that sold one house or bought one house 6 months ago, you're still going to be interacting with those people along the way.
Yeah, but I noticed, like, when it comes to money makes people see things with goggles. I don't know why. It's money energy. People put goggles on and they always see it their way, and they always rationalize why what they did is right or wrong. And so I always tell people, step away, like, especially with money, step away from your need, your want, your desire, and really look at it from a 360-degree standpoint. And as a team leader, and I have a team of 80, we have this come up every day. Like, every day people are fighting over money. Why? This person stole my deal, that was not. And so I always have to stand back and go, and a lot of times I'm involved. Like, there's just an involvement because mutual clients. So I always have to kind of step back and go, okay, this is this person's perspective. This is this person's perspective. There's usually never a right or wrong.
Right.
how can we solve or how can we get to the middle? And the middle is usually a split. It's usually being generous. It's usually giving, because that's the only way to get two perspectives to align.
So you reference your team. I would like to take a dive into that for a moment, because so as an example that you showed many times on Listing Impossible, I found you to be quite an inspiring leader to your team. I thought that your balance on that show was a really healthy balance of being concerned about culture. I saw a lot of examples that you were really focused on a healthy culture. And then I saw a lot of examples on Listing Impossible where you were all about competition. So Aaron, how do you balance those two things? I mean, that's a tough balance, and you are balancing it.
I don't think I have it yet, actually, to be honest with you. I'm learning. I don't think I have it yet. So I started my team with zero competition because I thought I left a big company that I felt very, very competitive at, and I felt like it was sinking me. I didn't like the competition. So I went out and I left a very established luxury brand and sort of went to a no-name brand that I built as a luxury brand. And I started flourishing when I did that. So when I started my team, I really didn't, we almost didn't advertise our sales and team. We really tried to keep it. Recently, though, I'm dating a guy who runs a bank. And he always talks to me about goals and how he runs a very large bank. He's part of a big bank in South America, and they do goals and all these different things. And so he started getting it in my head, why do you not have these goals for your team? Because I really didn't establish goals. So now the first thing I say to all of my team is, what is your goal? Where are you going to be? And where are you? And by the way, what's your goal for the year? What's your goal for the month? And if you're not there today, you're behind, because it's going to take 45 to 60 days to close something. So if you don't have an escrow in July, you're not closing anything in August, possibly September. So how are we going to? So now I actually started to do a little bit more goal orientation. I literally calling on my agents. I'm like, what's your goal this month? Where are you? How are you doing? And I'm now and I actually did it for myself, which I've never done before. So my boyfriend actually taught me. So theoretically, I said, okay, I'm going to sell $50 million a month myself every month. That was my goal to recover. And we've been doing it. I mean, I've been doing it. And that's not including my team. That's personal, right? And so literally at the beginning of every month, I literally pretend like it's Monopoly. And I'm like, what's the easiest way to hit my $50 million goal this month? And that's not including, I sell a $50 million house, because that's going to happen, then that's going to come and go. I'm talking about pure numbers that because of one house sale will be 50, but I would rather sell 6, knowing I'm going to make the 50, and then if I get lucky, I'll get to 100, right? And so every month I kind of play Monopoly. I'm never hard on myself if I don't make it. If I make it, I never stop working on it. And it's a really easy way to just have fun and not feel the stress of the losses or the wins, and just be like, I am where I am this month. How can I have fun making money and accomplishing my goal?
Well, Stephanie watching says she loves that you ask your team what their goals are instead of telling them.
Everybody's different, right? My goal is probably going to be unobtainable to a lot of people. Yeah. But I think that where people need to start with is an obtainable goal that can be accomplished, because then you're going to feel good. Yeah. Once you do that, the next goal is to double and triple and quadruple. But, everybody has a different life. Everybody has a different position in life, and everybody has a different way of doing things. And some people are natural born salespeople and others are not. So you got to evolve, and you got to teach, and you got to learn. And I've seen unnatural salespeople become the best in the world. And so I think that it starts with, where do I want to be? What can I obtain? What can I feel good about? And the key to this is, if you're not hitting it, start again next month and don't make yourself feel bad, because that's going to hold you.
It's celebrating the wins and the journey, right? And advancing in the recognition. And it seems like you're really good now. I know TV, editing, all sorts of things.
People in real estate celebrate their win too much.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
A win could be celebrated in 24 hours.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your last sale.
Absolutely.
I see people in my market will sell, and again, I live in LA. It's a very luxury market where we are in Beverly Hills. I'll see somebody sell a big house. Celebrate their win for 6 months.
Yeah.
No, you just made a big check. Go make another big check. Celebrate it. Be proud of yourself. But you're only as good as your last sale. And so for me, even if my goal is 50 million a month and I sold 100 million that month, my goal starts again the next month.
Right. Well, it's celebrating your little wins to your goal and getting there, like you just said. I mean, it's not going to happen. All the goals are different. It's not going to happen overnight, but just being able to look back and say, oh, wow, look at how far I came, and that recognition. But you're really good. And I know that TV edits things and whatnot, but you seem to be really good at recognizing your team as well. And we want to dive into the TV show here in a little bit, but what are you doing to encourage them to reach those goals? I mean, you've got 80 people on your team. That's a lot of different goals. How are you managing that a little bit so that they stretch their goals a little bit more past, that one win or that 2 wins that they just met?
Look, I think that the best reward in life is success. That's the best reward, right? Like, I'm not a kitschy, like, going back to my boyfriend who works at Spain, they are a little bit more kitschy with their goals. We'll give you this, we'll give you that. For me, the success of somebody is that they get to live the life that they want to live. That they get, money is an energy, right? Money is a good energy, and money helps you grow and live and give back, right? And so for us, we want to see people live the lives they want to live. That's the ultimate goal. How can we get people to live? And I don't care if you're just starting in a studio apartment or if you're living in a multi-million-dollar house. Like, the beautiful thing about where we live is we can get there. We can, and so what I do is I kind of look at everybody and go, where are you today? And where do you want to be in 6 months? And where can we get you in 2 years? And it's about that growth, that energy, that fun, that movement. And if it doesn't align, like if their movement and if their energy and if their spirit and if their work ethic doesn't align with ours, we actually don't want them. Like, we just don't, we want people that will grow, and they have to want it themselves. I'm not going to teach somebody to want or to need or to grow. Everybody wants, right? But you have to have the innate ability to get there in your own right. And I always tell people, like, if you're looking to me to help grow your business, don't. Because I'm not helping you. The best thing I could do is give you a platform to help grow your own business. And that is the best success that I can teach. So teach how to be successful. It's important. But if you're looking for a lot of people want me to give listings and attach, which we do. But if that's somebody's goal, then that's not a match for us, because our business is an entrepreneurial business. And I want people to think out of the box, be creative, and be unique. Because if you're just doing what everyone else is doing, you're just one of the, 2.8 million real estate agents in our country? For what, 5 million transactions? I mean, the numbers are against us if you're not playing it right.
Okay, Aaron, so Listing Impossible, broadcast on CNBC. For those few that may not have seen it, you got to go watch it immediately, number one, because it's awesome, whether you're a consumer or an agent. I feel like I have 1,000 questions, but I want to get tactical for a moment. What is the number one error agents make going into a listing appointment? How come agents have challenges earning the listing? Where do you see the errors they're making?
I think that the number one thing that I see is people are not as authentic as they could be when they go in a listing appointment. So authenticity sells, right? And you see this on Listing Impossible, I don't go in trying to get a listing. I just don't. I actually go in with the mindset of, how am I going to sell this house? And that leads me to telling somebody what their issues are with their house, first and foremost. I'm not like, your house is gorgeous. I'm like, your house may be gorgeous, but here's why your house is going to have some issues on the marketplace. X, Y, and Z. And if we don't solve this today, it's going to cost you a lot of money later. So let's solve your problems. Let's fix your issues so that when we go live, we can go live and win. I think, and I'm guilty of this, when I was young, I used to go in and I would be like, this house is so beautiful, I love it. And I would look at it with the seller's perspective. They tell me how good the granite is. Yeah, the granite's gorgeous. You tell me you have the finest house on the street. Yeah, you have the finest house on the street. I would get the listing signed, and then I would overprice it, and then I would show it to a buyer, and all of a sudden I would start sweating because I started to see all the flaws of the house. Mm. And I was like, oh my God, I just took an overpriced listing that I'm not going to sell for 6 months or a year. And so I trained my mind to really look at what's the, and I'll tell you, sellers appreciate it. Be honest, be real, be sincere about the price. Nobody wants to, for lack of a better term, people, nobody wants bull. People want reality. People want realness. People want authenticity. And whoever you are, be authentic about it. Like, I've seen some of the weirdest people be the most successful agents. Some of the weirdest people are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. No joke. Why? Because they know who they are. They own it. For better or for worse, they are who they are. And that draws people to that.
And people respect that and appreciate you coming in, because there's so many people, there's probably 10 people that are going to tell those what they want to hear. And you step in and say, well, these are the things you need to hear.
Yeah, nobody, listen, I don't know about you ladies. I like to be told the truth.
Yeah.
I like to not be sold. I like to think of myself as fairly intelligent. You guys are fairly intelligent. I like a good salesperson, right? We like to be sold. Salespeople love to be sold, by the way. But in an intelligent, smart way that lets people come up with their own conclusions. And so at the end of the day, we're information givers. We're people that I don't ever go in trying to make a sale or trying to get a listing. I try to get to know somebody. Who are you? What are you about? What makes you tick? What are your goals? What are your objectives? And once you have that, you're going to get a listing, you're going to get a sale, and you're going to make it happen for people. But if you just go in with your own objective, done. If your only objective is to get something out of somebody, it's done. It's not an alignment. And you need to be aligned in order to make things work.
The way you approach the listings appointment is so smart, because going into it in your mindset that this is a business decision between two parties, both yourself and the seller. So if you're going in with the mindset that you explained, then you are clearly in your mind coming in to assess, is this a viable business decision for you that you can deliver on to succeed and provide a service to the seller?
It's all about time, guys. Like, the way I see it, in our life, we have one thing, right? It's time. Yeah. How do we work our time? Are we going to be taking listings that we can't sell and working buyers that are unrealistic? Because if you do, we're out of time and you're not going to make money. By respecting our time, we're respecting everyone else. So part of my process is, do I want it? Is this seller realistic? Can I actually sell it? What are the flaws? And if the seller's unrealistic, I let somebody else take it. I'm fine walking away. And by the way, buyers, everybody, sellers always want the highest price. Buyers always want the lowest. That's our job. We have to bridge it, right? You got to look at it from both sides. If a buyer is unrealistic and you're running around with a buyer who's unrealistic, you just lost a week of your time when you could have made 2 sales with 2 realistic buyers. So all we have is to make sure that we're working with the right people. And the other thing is alignment. Like, just because somebody is priced right, or because there's a buyer priced right, that doesn't always mean they're right for you and you're right for them.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be friends, right? You really don't. You can do business, but you have to have a business alignment that you have to go, this is the right match. I say selling houses is like dating. Buyers and sellers have to match. They have to date. They have to like each other. But the agent is the person that's the matchmaker. Yeah. And the matchmaker has to understand the buyer and seller, otherwise it's not going to match either.
Talk about business, I mean, obviously things have changed a lot for all of us in the world this year. How is your business from last year, 2019, different from how things are operating today?
When COVID first happened, I took a step back and I was like, let's care about our community, let's care about our family, let's care about our clients, let's care about our friends. I took a beat. I called my entire database. 2 months into it, I realized that life is going to go on. Like we have to be cognizant of the realities of our world, but we will either stop doing business or we will do more business. And I said to myself, I got very determined. And I said, you know what? Now is the time to get my systems in place. Now is the time to organize my staff. Now is the time to do bigger, better advertising. We really restructured. We took a look at what was working and what wasn't working. We literally started our business from, we literally almost had to redo a lot of it because we realized we were off track. And today, actually, our numbers are up substantially from where they were towards that pre-COVID numbers. But I think it's because we said, look, we are where we are. We're going to be where we're going to be, and the house is more important than ever. And people are realizing that we can't travel like we used to. We aren't going to bars and restaurants like we used to. And so the house has become a very important thing. And we decided to take advantage. I mean, it's a horrible moment, and I really hope it gets better. And I hope people, I mean, we need a cure, right? But from a real estate standpoint, we realize the house is what's going to keep people safe. Yeah. And so we reached out to markets that were not LA-based. New York, for example, we have a lot of people coming from New York to LA because they want backyards and they want homes. We have a lot of people that can't travel, but we have a list of people from Hong Kong right now because of political unrest that want to be in LA. We have done this amazing outreach, and our numbers are actually probably better than they were last year, which is really weird.
We have a question from one of our viewers, Bic DeCaro. Bic is wondering, for either agents who are looking to break into the luxury market or perhaps an agent who would like a stronger footing in the luxury market, what would you recommend as far as critical marketing strategies?
Yeah, look, it's not going to happen overnight. I always say, if you want to break into luxury, partner with somebody that is in luxury. Learn, if you haven't sold a $5 million or $10 million or $20 million or $100 million house today, you're probably not going to do it tomorrow. Why? If you don't have that portfolio, people aren't going to just say, okay, I'm going to hire you. It just doesn't happen. The best thing you can do is, it's funny, so I have some guys that work for me, and they grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. This was 5 years ago in very rough neighborhoods. And today they're selling uber luxury houses. They've been with me for 5 years. And I used to make a joke. I'm like, you're from this, they would come look at $40 million house and be like, that's a horrible house. This finish is terrible. And I would literally, all they do is criticize the $40 million house that happened to be my listings. And I'm like, you are from, and I'm not going to name the city because I don't want to insult anybody. You're from this place where the house are X dollars. But they got so ingrained in the luxury market. They know it so well. They've studied under me. They've learned under me. They have what we've done to get our listings down, that they're basically me. They're young, prettier versions of myself. And now they're in the uber luxury market. And so I think that partner with somebody, get on a team, get on a company that specializes in it, learn it, study it, be the most knowledgeable you can. And when you are ready, attack it. And don't just attack it. Don't sit and wait. There's a way to attack. You could do email campaigns. You could, door knock. You can do social media campaigns. But today, anybody can get the business they want, which is totally different than when I started. Because when I started, you needed to know those rich people to get to those rich people. Today, I could get to anybody in the world without knowing them. So the sky is the limit, right? Through social media and through technology and SEO and PPC, you could get to anybody in the world. No joke, anybody. And so once you have the knowledge and the experience, do it. But don't do it before then, because then it's going to be obvious you don't have that experience.
So we talked a little bit before we went live about you and the show, and you were saying that, this didn't always come natural for you. I'd love to hear a little bit about that, but also what surprised you the most about documenting your business so visibly on TV, on a TV show?
Yeah. So I was telling you, ladies, so nothing's come easy for me. Like, I've struggled from day one on everything. So the first time I did TV for CNBC, the head said, you could never put this guy on TV ever again. He's the worst TV person I've ever seen. And I was nervous. I was awful. My brain wasn't working. I wasn't myself. And the producer said, let me try one more time. I can work with this guy. And he worked with me. And eventually I got okay on TV. I'm not sure I'm great, but I have a show. What I realized about what I told CNBC when we shot it, I said, listen, I'm not an actor. I never will be. I don't know how to act. So the only thing we can do here is be authentic, be real, and don't interrupt me in my meetings. Just let me go, and you'll get what you want to get. But if you try to manage me or if you try to produce me, it's gonna fail. So I was really wanted to be authentic in our approach. What you see is what you get on our show. It's not fake. Like, it's super real. The meetings, the dialogue, they just let me roll. And what I realized is it was really fun. Like, I loved it. But what I love about shooting TV is I never cared about being a TV personality. That wasn't my thing. But what I realized is our business is so impactful, and everybody's lives depends on where they live, and there's so many factors involved around people's lives. And I thought to myself, if we could tell those stories on camera, we would have a great show. And on top of it, what was really important to me is education of real estate. Like, people look at, and I'm not criticizing the shows like $1 Million Listing or Selling Sunset. They look at these people flying in private jets and then in these Rolls Royces and making all this money. And I'm like, what world are they living in? Because I'm one of the top in my game, and that's not my world. I have to work really hard. I lose listings. I fight with my clients. I have to tell the truth. And half the time, I don't win. And not winning is winning, because you learn what to do the next round. And so I wanted all of that to be seen and shown. And I think we did a pretty decent job of it. And I'm excited for season 2 because we get to keep doing that.
So fun.
When does season 2 start?
We got we got delayed because of COVID, so we still have to get a shot and get it going. But we have a really interesting, we want to take it even deeper. Like, we want to really hone in on how to win, and not just I'm assuming a lot of brokers are on this network right now, but we want to help not only brokers, but we want to help buyers and sellers understand, like, a lot of people that we work with are the richest in the world and have the best houses and run CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and they make the most mistakes in real estate. And we think, how did that person make such a big error? And so it just goes to show you how valuable we are. And I meet these people that are worth billions of dollars, and I'm like, how did you not think that over investing X dollars, 50, 40, $30 million in a house, you were going to win here? And they're like, I just didn't think about it. And so real estate should be something that should be very, sensible, but it's funny for a lot of people, it's just not. And so I think we have messages that we could give. And I just, I always tell people, care about the people you're working with, be authentic, be real, be strategic, be smart, and you will win wherever you are starting. Bigger, you want to grow bigger, you want to run a team, you want to, and I always tell people, agents, we're not agents, we're CEOs of our own corporation. Stop running to sell this and sell that. Stop, breathe. Where are you, and how can you sell not one home, because everyone's trying to sell that one house or 2 houses. How are you going to sell 10, 20, 30, 60 a month? How can you do that? Because if you're just running around all day trying to sell that one, you're not going to sell 5 or 6 or 7. It's impossible. So the team, the build, the CEO, how are you branding yourself? How are you marketing yourself? Are leads coming to you, or are you expecting that, are you just sitting there? Because if you're not running it like a corporation, you're probably going to be out of business, and you're going to be running like a hamster until you're tired.
Okay, so this is a tough one. I hope you're holding on to your seat, Aaron. This last question, I don't know. We're going to put you on the spot before we let you go. Aaron Kirman, what does leadership from the heart mean to you?
Leadership from the heart means authenticity and truth. I think that we are in the luckiest position in the world because if you've chosen to be in real estate, we have the ability to be our own bosses and our own creators and build and impact our communities. And so I think that when we all can be leaders, we all can be community ambassadors, we all have the ability to be success. I think a lot of people think money is not a good thing. I know it sounds really weird, but people think that sometimes money, even though we all need it to live, they have issues with it because it brings good and bad sometimes. And I think that the more successful we are, the more we can give back to people, the more we can help our communities, the more we can build a bridge between who we are and our communities and our agents and our sellers and our buyers, and do good things with that. And good leadership means making sure that the guy to your left and the girl to your right are successful, even if you're not on a team. Share information, partner, grow, and think out of the box. Like, you know, we're in a world that's different. Like, there's so many young billionaires today. Anybody, you know, don't just listen to your mentor and say, okay, postcards are the thing to do because that's what's been done for 30 years. I'm not saying don't do it. If it works, it works. But what's going to be the next thing to propel them or you or your community? Because whoever comes up with that is going to be the next big winner.
You are awesome.
Oh, yeah. You guys are awesome. It's fun to be with you guys.
And I want to reiterate too, Listening Impossible, it's so much more than a reality show. When I first watched it, when it came on, it really caught my attention. And my initial thought was, wow, I'd like his job. Because my first reaction was, he's really telling it like it is. But what I think is critical for both the consumer and agents who watch the show is to see the importance of the authentic moment, that it is you serving as the listing agent. Both parties deserve to hear it. It's bigger than that. And so thank you for uplifting. I hope everybody picks up on what's important about your show because there's a bigger message to be picked up on.
I thank you for that. And, you know, I can end on, if I ever give anybody any advice, I would say be your authentic self. And even if you have flaws, like, own it. It's okay. We're not perfect. Like, nobody's perfect. And if you own your flaws and you really don't like them, work on fixing them. But even if you have them, it's okay. Own it. I tell my clients all my flaws. And they're like, and I think it makes people relate because nobody wants perfection. Perfection doesn't exist in life. At any level, whether you're selling, whether you're buying, it just doesn't exist. So the best thing we can do for our clients, for ourselves, is to own who we are and be like, hold yourself to that standard every day, whatever that standard is.
Erin, we are so appreciative of you spending your time with us today and just pouring into us with such an awesome conversation. I don't know what I was expecting. It wasn't this. This is so much more than I was expecting. And I mean, I could talk to you for hours. I feel like sitting up a little bit bigger, and I'm like, okay, because you're right. There's so many challenges we're facing, but we're in a very unique position that we can help so many people in a great way. And so I keep going back to you saying, if you're having a rough day, it's okay. Walk away, step out of it, come back, because you're not going to be good for anybody else. So we have a very unique situation here. And I just love the compassion and the leadership that you portray.
And the other thing that I think people should remember is, yes, we're in a tough time. But that doesn't mean that we can't lead. It doesn't mean that we can't sell a ton of houses. It doesn't mean that we can't be successful. Our job is more important today than it's ever been.
Yeah,
it is. And so, I don't want to say, I think all we can do is say, look, we're in a really difficult moment. I hope they fix it. But from a personal standpoint and from a business standpoint, there's a way to redefine our world and grow during this moment. And when you do, not only are you going to grow in this moment, when it gets easier and better, you'll be that much stronger.
Well, we're stronger today after you pouring into us for this hour, Erin. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
It's great seeing you. We appreciate you guys.
We'll see you soon, Erin.
Yeah.
Bye, Erin.
Bye.